Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Egan Times. We have an awesome guest on this episode. We have Raad. Matt, who is a highly successful website investor, angel investor, and digital educator who has 25 years experience in mergers and acquisitions of businesses from $1 million to $20 million. Matt is Australia's leading expert in training total beginners how to buy websites, valuation, website due diligence, and investing in digital assets. Matt's digital training programs help high-income earners transition from their job business income to leverage passive website income so that they can secure their future and their own real online assets that can be sold for 20 to 50 times their monthly income. Matt, welcome and thanks for coming on our podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Nick. Great to be here.
You're welcome. How's it all going up there in Brisbane?
Very well. We're lucky enough to live up in sunny Brisbane, and we work from home, so it's a pretty nice style up here, especially this time of year. It's a perfect 24 degrees and very nice.
Nice. And tell me, how has life changed and how have you dealt with the pandemic since it began?
Since the pandemic, that's a really good question. One of the things, as you guys just heard, and as you said, Nick, we work online, obviously, have done for a long time now, for over a decade. And so the pandemic actually for us and for a lot of our clients was actually a boom. It's been really good. We own a wide range of websites, and as I think everyone saw, the whole world just suddenly went online because they were all in lockdown. They pretty much had to. So, of course, we were, I guess, inadvertently positioned for the perfect storm, as were a lot of our clients. And it's funny, we know people with traditional businesses as well, and they were saying it's pretty scary, but our clients are all online like us. They're all saying, thank goodness we've got online businesses.
Yeah, cool.
So, things have really boomed in the online space in the last 12 months in a massive way.
All right, cool. That's great insights. Let's just jump straight into it. Firstly, tell me about your life growing up and, your family.
Yeah, I live here in Australia, grew up on farms. My dad was a farm manager, and, money, when I was a kid, this is back in the 70s, money was pretty tight. It was always tricky in farming as well. You've got droughts and stuff like that, and a lot of our friends found it particularly difficult in 1987 when, same for my mum and dad, when interest rates went through the roof here in Australia, and for farmers, it was also coming out of a drought. So there was that side of it, but it was a great childhood. But I was always driven at some point to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know how. I didn't know any business people. We only knew farmers in the area where we were. Didn't even know any rich people really. But I just knew as a kid. And as a kid, I'd always traded stuff like toys. Normally I'd trade. And it's funny, my son now does exactly the same thing at school and everything. But although now he's figured out how to do it online, which is really cool. But I always traded and stuff. So then when I left, I moved into the big smoke into Sydney. As soon as I turned 17, I moved out of home and went into the city and lived. That was a fascinating journey for me, and that's where I got to meet some wealthy business people and started to learn and realize, oh wow, there's another way to life. You don't. I always thought I would go back to the farm or something like that, or to the rural area, and that's kind of where it kicked off. And I went to uni, and it sounds weird, but I studied zoology because that was the other thing I always liked. Growing up on a farm, I loved animals and stuff, and I didn't get the marks at school to become a vet. So I studied zoology, and why that part of the story is important is that's where I met my wife, Liz, who works with me, and we've been together 24/7. We work together 24/7 since the day we met, basically. And so we both met doing zoology. We were studying red kangaroos at the time. And then after uni, we pretty quickly got into our first business, which was a little small manufacturing business. And we moved back into the country, and we built that up, and we loved it so much. Basically, we're totally self-taught. We got hooked on business pretty much within the first couple of days of owning that business. So there's a pretty amazing journey. And I think one of the big things that shaped us, that might be important for your listeners, it wasn't all a bed of roses. It was bloody hard. We had virtually no money, and the business that we bought, unbeknownst to us, was going bankrupt. So we nearly didn't make it, and we literally had to work our butts out to turn that around and figure out how to do it. And considering we're not entrepreneurs, we just read all the books, and luckily we read, a bunch of books that said to us, just get sales. And we just figured out, all right, we need to get sales. So we had to learn how to sell. And that's pretty much what kicked us off on our journey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about your current business and the e-commerce and all that side of things. So how has that worked out for you, and how has that all transpired?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because I think I'm very pro and very excited about what we do online compared to our bricks and mortar businesses. So what you've got to understand is we've got a lot of experience with business now. When from those, I guess, it sounds like the cliche, from humble beginnings or whatever, up buying this small manufacturing business, we're able to build that up, and we bought and sold lots of other businesses. That's because we were good at it, and we outsourced back then, and basically we traded businesses. We'd buy them, fix them up, and sell them. We were really good at doing the sales side and systemizing the businesses. But there was a big challenge with bricks and mortar businesses, and we were always buying and selling either manufacturing or wholesale import businesses. And that is, when you're young, it sucks up all your money. You've got to put all your money into stock. And so that's what shaped us to where we are today. That's why when we saw this online space, and we've been in business now for 25 plus years. So we're in bricks and mortar businesses for about a decade, and then the internet came along, and we realized we can do on the internet exactly what we do with bricks and mortar businesses, but we don't need all the money. So we deliberately avoid businesses online that have anything to do with stock or holding physical products. So all we do is sell advertising space online, essentially. So so we don't actually do e-commerce. So a lot of people like you, Nick, when they think about an online business, it's all about e-commerce. Like, you're selling products and stuff. We don't do any of that. Because of our background, though, because we don't like it held us back in life for a long time, having to put all our money back into inventory. So, for us, being online, oh man, it was so much easier, so much quicker. And we started out a decade ago, and Liz she's a real go-getter, really very impatient with let's do this. She's just full on. And she just, as soon as we figured out this online thing, she said, well, why the hell don't we just buy businesses like we used to with bricks and mortar businesses? And so that's what we did. We got out there and we found these simple little, what we do is we buy simple little websites, we fix them up, just like we used to with bricks and mortar businesses, and then we sell them off again, or we keep them for the cash flow. That's pretty much what we do. A bit like, I'm presuming, so Nick, a lot of your listeners, would they be investing in real estate as well? Do you think?
They'll be doing everything. But yeah, generally speaking, a lot of people, real estate's what they do, right? It's a go-to.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so it's the same kind of thing, how you buy a rundown house, fix it up, not a major reno, but you kind of tidy it up, and then you sell it off or you hold it for the cash flow. Most people understand that sort of analogy when I talk about what we do with websites. That's pretty much what we do. But our main difference to what I think, what's most surprising, I think, to people about what we do is, we don't do it with e-commerce sites. We do it with what we call advertising sites or content sites. So basically like an online real estate, and they just have, when you go on the website and there's banner ads that you click on.
Like on Google, for example.
Yeah, Google. So that's one of the big income generators for us. So we get paid every time someone clicks on an ad.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's all automated.
Well, generally speaking, what a profit look like? So if you were to sell a website, how much would you make on that?
Okay, so we would typically buy, if we're talking, let's talk small websites, which are that's kind of the hot spot in the market at the moment. If you've got a small, simple site that makes $1,000 a month, we talk in monthly revenues. So you would that's probably worth around 20 grand, it varies depending on the website, but that's better than money in the bank. But what we do is ideally we try and get it for less than that. We find a rundown one that needs to be fixed up. There's a lot of small websites that get neglected, and that's where the opportunity is. So what we're looking for is the diamonds in the rough, the sites that have been neglected. We try and buy it cheap. Maybe we'll get it for 15 grand. We'll hold it for about 12 months or more. We'll fix it up over that 12 months. It's not like you're working on it every day or anything. You just do a little bit here and there on it, tidy it up, add some more content, get it fixing up. And then basically we try and double the revenues. We try and get up to $2,000 a month. And then you could sell that for what's called 20 times the monthly or 30 times. You might sell it for, I don't know, $40,000 to $60,000.
Well, that's a nice profit there.
Yeah.
All right. What inspires you daily? What do you wake up and be motivated to do all this?
It's a really good question. I hadn't thought of that one. What inspires me? We just love doing it. It's very addictive. Also, though, I've got to say, it's probably from my drive from being a kid wanting to be an entrepreneur. So it's kind of that big vision that I had when I was a kid. Always loved that idea of making money out of thin air. So that kind of drives me in business. I think it's from being a kid setting those goals. And so I guess my goals drive me. But then, of course, what else drives me is the joy of the process of what we do. We don't always get it right. Like some of these sites don't work. It's just like anything. It's business. Some work, some don't. Some go ballistic. Some are average. So I think it's the joy and the creativity. It sounds weird, but it's very creative. And we've done an interview with one of our clients who's a lawyer. She was a lawyer for 25 years and she's just quit a job, sick of it, burnout, classic client of ours. And she's doing what we're doing. And I kind of said to her the other day, it's in answer to your question, what drives you to do this? And I said, how do you find it? She goes, oh, man, I absolutely love it because it's so creative. All of a sudden, I'm not constrained by doing lawyer-type stuff and it's in that lawyer world. And now I'm just my free agent. I work from home. I see my kids all the time. And it's mentally stimulating. It's very creative. That's what she found. And that's what I think we love as well. Liz and I love that process of fixing up a website. It's kind of like a challenge. It's like playing an online game or something, when you get really, that's the other thing. If I hadn't done this, I should never say this publicly, but one of the kind of a fun regret I have in life is I never became a gamer. I kind of missed that stage of the internet. I didn't have computers when I was kids and stuff. And I think that's the other thing I look at. It's that same mental stimulation as being a gamer, except this way you make lots of money out of it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation. Yeah. I understand that. Can you share some examples and students who have brought and sold, and what do the profits look like for them? So, for example, from going, say, for me, working in a full-time job, and I actually did this, and I decided this is the road like the lawyer you just mentioned. What would a salary look like then, generally speaking? Like, how much income could they make in the first year or two of doing this?
Okay, it's a really good question. The reality is, at first, for most people, this is brand new to them. It's a whole new skill. So most people have never bought or sold a business in their lives. So we used to work as business brokers. We would help high net worth sell their businesses, and most of even them only ever sell one business in their life, and that's their main business. So the first step and it's a really common question, Nick, what does it look like in the first year or two? Honestly, for most people, the first year is about learning this stuff and taking baby steps. So buying small little sites. So what we suggest is people start out by buying a website under $1,000 and just learning on it. And it's more like you've got to approach it as like a payment in your education. You can just jump out there and start buying sites, but if you don't know what you're doing, that would be really stupid. Like, I'm just going to be blunt about it. It'd be a really dumb thing to do for most people. So the first bit is getting your skills up. You've got to learn a few things about how the online world works. So if you've just first heard this, You're probably a total new to it. You probably don't even know how a website makes its money. Okay, so you got to learn a bit about that. You got to learn how to buy a site and fix it up a bit. So that's probably the main journey. That's going to take a year or so for most people who are already working, unless they're doing this full time. But generally, if people get right into it, in the second year, that's when you start to make money. And then it's up to, okay, what's your skill level like at that point, and how much money do you have to invest in websites? But also with websites, when we fix them up, they can be instant, but generally the best renovations we do on websites take about a year. So you got to think out now. You got to set a longer term goal. You got to set, like we tell our clients, set a 2 or 3 year goal with this, because if you don't, you've got to buy the site, then you've got to fix up. So you're looking about a year or two out, but then you can start to get the really good returns. And maybe a really good example to give is one of our clients, Lisa. She bought this website about 2 or 3 years ago before COVID. It was just what it does, it reviews exercise equipment, and she gets paid an affiliate commission off Amazon. So this is a passive site. She bought it. It was making, I don't know, a couple of $100 a month. So it's just that she doesn't work on the site. She's got a full-time job and everything. This just sits in the background. It's like a passive asset. And I kept saying, you should fix that up. I think it can make a lot more money. Put some more content on there, review some more exercise equipment. There's a specific kind of exercise equipment that she reviews. And so she started doing that. Luckily, wait till you hear this, just before COVID. And then, of course, COVID hits. So everyone's suddenly wanting to buy exercise equipment. So they're looking up her site for her reviews of what are the best exercise equipment to buy on Amazon. All she's got to do is send people over to Amazon. Amazon handle everything. She's not selling the exercise equipment herself. All she says is, I recommend you buy this one. And so she gets a commission off Amazon. Just last month, we did an interview with her. She is now hitting $5,000 to $6,000 a month Aussie income off that site that she doesn't have to do. She's not working on it full time or anything like that. It just sits there. That's how much it's fixed up over the last kind of, let's say, a year and a half. So that asset, that only cost her $2,000 to buy, and I would value that at anywhere from 60,000 to 100,000 plus for that website now.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is an amazing story. Now, not every story is like that, and she's put a fair bit of effort into this site in the initial reno. So what you've got to do is when you buy these things, initially in the first couple of months, done once, done forever. You get in there, it's like writing a book. You do the big fix up, but then you sit back and you kind of just keep a bit of maintenance. But that's a really, really good example of a really good winner in recent times, and it shows you the time frame. So she's owned that. I do want to reiterate, she's owned it for 2 or 3 years, but now it's making nearly, it's making that's a good amount of income, and that's net profit. That's just not sales. That's what she actually clears in her pocket. $6,000 a month.
That's incredible. So, if someone was to work a full-time job, could they still do this on the site? Potentially,
yeah.
Or like at night, so they could legitimately do both at the same time?
Absolutely. That's where it's perfect. So the first bit is learning this stuff. That takes the longest because and I guess you treat it like doing a part-time diploma course or whatever. You study it and you understand how it works. But most of our clients do it part-time at night because websites, I think a big misconception out there about websites, most people they do have jobs, they have regular salaries, and they swap time for money, and that's their way of thinking, so they're used to that. As an entrepreneur, Liz and I have never thought that way. We can't. We're in business. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you work a lot, sometimes you work nothing, and money comes in. And websites are the same. Websites, what I love about websites, are really cool. You don't have to work, or people don't realise you don't have to work on them every day. So in answer to your question, what that means is most people, it's really cute. When we get new people to this and we teach them, I have to keep stopping and saying, hey, hang on a minute, whoa. This is not something you work on 9 to 5 or in set hours. This is something that ticks along 24/7, worldwide market. You can literally park this thing for 3 or 4 months and not even look at it and come back to it and do something on it. So in answer to your question, they're the perfect thing to work on part-time. So if you've got a bit of spare time up your sleeve, okay, in the evenings you work on your website. That's cool. If you go through a period in your life where you go away on holidays or you get really busy with work, the website doesn't stop. It doesn't switch off. It's always there. It's always ticking along. As long as it's got a bit of traffic coming in, you've got to do a little bit of maintenance each month, but you certainly don't have to work on it every day. So like Lisa's site now, she can just leave it. So prior to me stirring her gently about getting things and working it, she didn't even touch it. When she first bought it, she did a bit of basic maintenance, added some content, and she got the income up to $2,000 a month. And she was just doing that part-time in the evenings while she had other stuff going on in her life. So if you get the right websites, you've got to have a certain search criteria of the websites you buy. The ones that Liz and I specialise in buying are the passive ones like that, where we don't have to turn up every day. But we've got friends who have big 7- and 8-figure online businesses that are active, and they are definitely 9 to 5, and they tend to be the e-commerce sites. E-commerce websites take a lot of effort, but you make a lot of money. So Liz and my philosophy, though, is we want to make life easy, not hard, and we don't want to be working 9 to 5. Never have liked working 9 to 5. We want that leverage. So we buy simple sites where we can just literally. So I'm working on a site now. I'm renovating it. I haven't touched this site in over 12 months, and in the last couple of weeks I've decided to work on it and fix it up, and all I'm doing is getting up early in the morning and doing a couple of hours each day over a period of about a week or to 2 weeks, and then it's done, and I won't touch it again for another year. So, you own a portfolio of those, and that's pretty much how it works. So you're not working 9 to 5.
That's amazing. What is the future of digital and website investing? And just on a side note to that, what about applications on phones and stuff? Is that going to have an impact on the internet? When you go online and you search for a website, for example, what applications, does that take anything away from that either? For people?
You mean like when you're on a phone searching for it, or?
Applications are really popular, yeah? You can just go onto an application. Like you go onto iTunes and you can search apps to download, right? Where you can look at stuff and whatever you want. Does that take anything away from internet searching for these websites?
Not really, because the kind of sites we buy are what's called content sites. So typically they're a very separate thing to apps. So we buy sites that people are where they come looking for information. And so there's lots of ways you can make money online, like I was just saying. We just do one set strategy, basically, and that's it. We just buy these content sites. So your point, it's a really good point. Apps we have actually owned an app before, an application, and we made good money out of it, but we had to work on that bloody thing every single day. It was a pain in the butt. And we had to have developer teams working on it and stuff like that. So and it's the same as e-commerce. You can make a ton of money off e-commerce sites, but you've got to work on them every day. Whereas in terms of apps and stuff, it's kind of a different market to what we do. We just have this, I guess it's kind of niche, but when you go to those sites and you're looking up, how do I train my dog? What's the best exercise equipment to buy? How do I lose weight? How do I make money? How do I whatever? And those information sites come up in Google. They're the sort of sites that we're either we build them these days as well ourselves, in addition to buying them, because there's so much upside there because the market's so hot at the moment. It's a really good question. What is affecting the websites that we do out there? The market's always changing. It definitely is evolving, especially after COVID, and also because of Google, what Google does in the search engines and stuff. Things are changing around a fair bit. But fundamentally, I guess we've just got our niche of the kind of sites that we run and use and that we love. And it just seems to work. And I think the future is still really good for them, because that's the one big thing that COVID has shown us, is that everyone's getting online and they're looking up stuff. That means we can make money. That's pretty much, let's look at podcasting now. Man, it's huge. Podcasting's, that wasn't around 5 years ago. No one even talked about it 5 years ago. So, and when you think about it, Nick, what do you think what podcasting is? It's information. So we do the same thing, but with an online website. So we just provide information, and people are hungry for information these days in any format. And so basically, if you've got the eyeballs, the way we make money, and you want to remember this if you're new to this and you're trying to think it through, as long as you've got the eyeballs, i.e. people listening or the traffic to the website, you can simply just put ads there and make money off it. It's like TV stations. That's how they operate. It's just because they've got the eyeballs. So we become our own little mini online publishers in a way.
That's amazing. But yeah, like, I'm extremely interested in doing it myself. So yeah, like you've sold it to me, man. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, you've got a podcast. You're halfway there. It's really cool. You're already seeing how this kind of works in that you're creating something out of thin air. You're creating really cool content for people, right? That is really useful. It's inspirational. People love hearing those stories. Well, and it's just one format. You're doing it in the podcast format, which is audio and people download on Spotify. That's all, to me, that's all new. I'm an old bugger at this stuff, I'm old fashioned. Liz and I are just, maybe what we do will evolve and it more move into the podcasting thing and stuff like that. But, when you think about it, you're driving traffic, you're providing a really valuable service for people. So that's all we do with our websites. We do exactly the same thing, but it's in weird niches. Like it's, we've got a site about racing pigeons. I don't know anything about racing pigeons. I pay someone to write the content for it. I know nothing about it. I don't even look at the website. But it's really useful information to someone. It's really cool. People come there and they buy stuff when they're there. They'll click on an ad and we make money.
What's been your favourite website project?
Actually, the pigeon racing one's pretty cool because I never thought it would make money. And it's a really tiny site. It's really small. It's a little thing. And yeah, that was awesome. We still own that one. We had a website that reviewed cars that we never even looked at. And that made us a stack of money. We sold it at a really good price, and it was making us about $6,000 to $8,000 a month. And Liz to this day still doesn't know the web address of that site. We barely touched it, and we sold it for a record price. So I think that was probably one of our all-time favourites. That was just such a simple site to run and own, and very passive.
Yeah, cool. All right, for the listeners who want to learn more about how to buy, renovate, and sell websites for active or passive income, what are the next best steps for them to get more information on this?
Well, you can check out, we've got a bunch of free info on our website, which is the ebusinessinstitute.com.au, so ebusinessinstitute.com.au. And if you're interested in learning, the nuts and bolts of our strategy, we've got a free masterclass on there. You can go and check that out. Just go onto ebusinessinstitute.com.au, just Google it. And you can see that's our logo there. Just look that up online, eBusiness Institute here in Australia. And yeah, just sign up for our free masterclass. It's about 90 minutes, and we just go through the whole strategy and show you. And obviously, we do training in this as well. We're a private training organisation here in Australia. We do digital marketing training and stuff like that, and that's what we do. And we've got a really nice community online on our Facebook page as well. So you might want to go and check us out on our Facebook. You can just Google Matt and Liz Raad. But when you're on the eBusiness Institute, it's probably worth looking at some of the success stories of our students. It's pretty cool. They all, once they learn the basic skill, you can do this in all sorts of different ways. But we show you on there how to get started pretty easily for free. Like you can go and work, you can see our whole strategy and where we buy these websites from and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, thanks for coming on podcast, Matt.
No worries.
Amazing, and you've given some really great insights and information into it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Nick. It's been unreal.
Pleasure. Have a great day, mate.
You too. See ya.